Good morning, and here is another little video from an typesetting. In this video I want to show you a couple of one technique to illustrate how we can do rather an interesting effect in Adobe InDesign. When InDesign came out with a new feature of paragraph shading and borders, everyone got rather excited. Unfortunately, they lied about the borders. We're still stuck with the inability to do borders in InDesign. So how do we do this effect? What we've got right here is got a box with a little line on top, or another box with a heading on top. And if we're doing this in continuous text, this is actually quite straightforward to do. But if we wanted to do this in, for example, where this is a separate text to this, and we're going to have, let's say, text flowing from one to the other, we want to have the ability of being able to move this box and this particular line, this little squiggle line that I've brought in, or this heading along with the box. So I want to show you the technique to do that. So let me first start off by actually deleting my hard work and starting with a new text box from scratch. So we create a text box. Obviously it would be the width of whatever the margins would be. Let's just put some text in just so that we can have some kind of an effect with what we're trying to do and try and see what we're doing here. Let's balance the columns just for the sake of the illustration. And what we've got here is a nice box. Now, what we could do in the normal way for doing this is that we would bring in our graphic that I've saved in a library. I'm actually going to make the text box the same size as the image. I don't want to mess up too much with the images that I've created. We'll see why in a moment. And we can say, okay, well, we're going to put this over here. We're going to use various techniques to make sure the distance between this line and this text box is the same, and then we can group them together and then we can move it around. But this is a rather cumbersome situation, particularly if we want to enlarge the boxes and change around and play with it. So here's a little technique that I've actually been using for quite a long time and can be used in a couple of ways. So let me show you how it works. It's not very easy to do, actually. It has a habit of being a little bit fiddly. I'm going to make this box a little bit smaller just to show you, and then we can zoom in a bit and take advantage of the screen. We go to the text type tool and we do a long press and we choose the type on a text path tool. And we click on the top of the box. Now I can now type hello on top of the box, and you might be familiar with this technique if you want to do text on a curve. But really we're not really interested in the word hello, and what we want to do here is we want to apply a style to this box. And I've actually created a style already called line, which just place it over there. Well, we'll create a new style, new paragraph style. And we're going to call it rule on box. And just make sure there's nothing strange going on. There we go. It's not we don't want a Hebrew font there. It's just an English font. And I'm just quickly checking to make sure everything here is makes a lot of sense, and that's fine. And we're creating this style rule on a box, and just to do one particular thing, which we might want to do later. And then what we're going to do is we're going to click on the cursor over here, and you can see, so it's just about, I hope you can see it, I'll zoom in, you can see this box, I don't even know what they're called, but these vertical lines. So this vertical line determines the beginning of where hello starts, and it will go all the way, wrap around the box, all the way to the end, and this is the end. But what we want, we don't want it to go wrap around, we just want it to be the width of the box. So I'm going to take the end box. I'm going to try and take the end box. It never does what I want it to do. See, I told you it's very fiddly. So I'm going to start by taking the beginning of the hello, and I'm going to make it go 90 degrees. Okay, and then I'm going to take the end box, and I'm going to put it also at 90 degrees. So now the word hello is right at the beginning of the box. Okay, and now we've really done most of the work here. And now I'm going to delete the word hello. Now, just to remind you, we have a paragraph style, which I created earlier, called Rule on a Box. It's probably going to be really small on your screen, but don't worry, just trust me on this one. And then we're going to take this box, this little box over here, this little box, it's a squiggly line. We're going to cut it, and we're just going to do paste. and we're going to paste that on top of this box. Great. But you may notice, or you may decide, well, it's touching the text, it's too close. How do we make it further away? Now, it's very easy to do one particular box and move it further away, but what happens if we've got loads of these boxes all over a document and we decided, oh, maybe we should put them a little bit further away? Well, that's not a problem, because if you remember, I had a style called Rule on Box, and it's a paragraph style, and I've embedded this picture in the paragraph style. So I can do lots of different things, but all I really want to do right now is I want to take a basic character. I want to do a baseline shift. So I do a baseline shift, and now not only will this box move further away, but all the boxes will move further away. Now, the same technique can be used to do another little... Oh, so let me show you how this works. So we've done all the hard work. So now, if I move this up and down, I move it around, and I can even move the top box up and down, and that rule, that fancy rule, is going to move. Now we could do this with another little technique which I absolutely love. So I'm just gonna, we've already created the style, but I'm going to do a new style just for fun. Let's say we want to make a caption. Okay, this is an old Quark trick. I don't know why it's called the Quark trick, but we did this in Quark. And what we're going to do here is we're going to create a new paragraph style called Caption Header. Okay, Caption Header, and we're going to, fan my mouse. We're going to do this in Minion. We'll use a caption font. Why not? We're going to put this all in small caps. We're going to track it a bit, and we're going to center it because it's going to be a title. Okay, so let's just center it, and we're going to add some rules. Now here's the fun. We're going to start by adding a rule above. Okay, it's taking the full width. It's black. That's fine, and we're going to make it a little bit interesting, and we're going to do that. It's a little bit heavy for my liking. Maybe I'm going to, that will do, and I'm going to move the offset. I'm going to make it centered. Okay, and I'm going to make it a dark red. Okay. And then what I'm going to do, the offset, I'm just going to change that just a tiny bit. Now here's a trick, it's a nice little trick. You do a rule below. And in the rule below, we switch it on, and we're going to start with bright yellow. Okay? Just so we can see what's going on. And we're going to make this a width of 5, actually we'll make it 15 points. But here what we're going to do is we're going to make it the width of the text. And then we play with the offset. And if you notice the yellow, the rule below will go over the rule above. So now you don't see the red lines. If I now change this to paper, we have effectively tipexed out those red lines. Now, of course, the red lines are still touching the text. So on the indent, we're going to do -5 on both sides, because the width is text as opposed to being caption. So you look at it again. In the yellow, okay, you see exactly what's going on, but really we're doing that to hide that. So now we've got the style called Caption Header. Okay, now what the beautiful thing about this idea is that if we now change the text, the rules will automatically move. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this text box and copy and paste. And now I have a new text box. Okay, didn't need the extra enter thing. And now I can do the exact same trick as before. I can we already had this box. Let's create a new box over here down below. Okay, move this over there. We don't really need that. And we're going to cut, and we're going to delete the box that we had before. Take our cursor, press paste. Okay, and now all we need to do is to pull this to be the width of the box. Okay, can't see the box right now. I didn't do a bad job just getting there. And now I've created heading 1. Now remember, let's not get confused. We've got a style called Caption Header. That tells you what heading 1 is. So we can take Caption Header and we can change whatever changes we want. Let's say we want to make it a little bit smaller and to make it 12 points. Okay, and then if we need to play around with our rules, of course we can do that. We can change the offset a smidgen. Of course, I chose the wrong rule to take a smidge and change it slightly. Okay, and let's say we want to just do 1.2. Let's see what that looks great. But if we want to change the distance of this heading to this box is actually fine. But let's say we wanted to change it, then this box, remember, it's embedded. Then we simply go into our style called Rule On Box, okay, and then we can go ahead and we can adjust the position of this heading. So there you go. So we can adjust it to exactly where we want it on top of our text. And again, the beautiful thing about this is because it's now done in styles, if afterwards we want to make a global change in our entire document, we can go ahead and do that. So this can be very useful when typesetting jobs where you might have a small caption thingy at the bottom, or you might have multiple text. You might have a text, the main text at the top of the page, and then you might have this text box flowing. So, for example, let's just pretend let's add a couple more pages here, and show you how this can be very useful. It would be even more useful if the size of the boxes were the same, but I think you get the idea. And then we can put this over here. And then we can flow one text box to the other, okay? And now I can play around with this and let this do exactly what I need it to do. This is a really useful tool. So hope you enjoyed this little video. And if you found this useful, then please do let me know. Maybe I'll do a few more tips of advanced InDesign typesetting. And just to remind you that my website is www.rinanatype.com.